through. Jordan is going to win his first race in British Touring Cars.
Well, I'm absolutely loving it.
The blue oval returns to the winner's circle for the first time in 10 years. Chilton wins.
Wow.
Side by side across the line. Who's it going to be? It is Gordon Shedden.
It must be one of the closest finishes on touring car history, I should imagine.
Great move. Yeah, lovely stuff into second place for Paul O'Neill.
I love motorsport. It's all good.
And now Jackson's going to lead. Matt Jackson to take victory here. A beautiful drive.
So nice to bring it home.
We're going to have a new winner in British Touring Cars. His name is Stephen Kane. Tom Onslow Cole, he is definitely cooking on gas. Another remarkable run by Gordon Shedden. 2 wins out of 2 races.
The car just feels fantastic.
Plato has taken the lead from Tom Onslow Cole. This has been a mighty drive by Jason Plato.
We're not here to play games, we're here to try and win.
Matt Neal's had this one totally under control. What a great return this is to the family team.
Fantastic result for the team.
So Matt Neal is the man to catch after the summer break. He holds an 8-point lead over long-time rival Jason Plato. Neal's Honda teammate Gordon Shedden is not far behind the top 2, with Tom Onslow Cole 4th, keeping the LPG-powered Ford in with a shout in its debut season. Stephen Kane is 5th in his BMW. In the team standings, Honda Racing have a 34-point advantage over the Airwaves BMW team, with the Team Aon Fords in 3rd and the Silverline Chevrolets 4th. 888 are 5th. Things are a little closer in the manufacturers' race. Honda Team Dynamics are 14 points ahead of the Arena Fords, with Chevrolet RML 41 points off the top spot. The near 2-mile Snetterton circuit is the stage for 6.5 hours of racing here in Norfolk today. The circuit's had a few changes since we were last here. Simon Hill talks us through them.
So here at Sear Corner, the most important corner on the circuit because it leads to the longest straight on the track, the Revit straight. This is the first big change. You can see that previously drivers would be running right the way out there to get the maximum momentum down this long straight. Now you've got this red and white painted section. If they run over there too many times, they're going to face penalties. So at the end of the long Revit straight, we have the S's, a massively challenging corner, really fast, braking into it, and then trying to get into this very, very tight right-hander and a good run down to the end of the lap. Big change for 2010 is this massive curb on the apex. We used to see piles of tyres here before, but this curb does the job a lot more effectively of stopping drivers cutting the corner, because the penalty won't be from the officials, it'll be all about the damage that they get as a result of cutting this corner. The drivers will come out of Bomb Hole, one of the fastest, most difficult corners on the circuit. They run out wide, use a bit of extra curbing, which has changed slightly for this year. And then, as you can see, they follow this line as they break down into the Russell chicane. Now, previously, they used to be able to take a slightly different line through here, but now, as you can see, we've got another really high curb, much like we saw at the S's. So again, the penalty is quite severe in terms of potential damage to the car. So what they're going to be trying to do is slow the car down progressively, get the car neatly lined up through the left-hander, try not to clip those curbs and get a really good run down the centre straight and hopefully onto a good lap time.
So that was the stage for qualifying yesterday afternoon. The rear-wheel drive BMWs wanted hot conditions. The turbocharged Fords were looking for cooler conditions. What they all got was pouring rain. Simon Hill takes up the story.
Rain clouds loomed over the Snetterton circuit, meaning it was decision time for the teams as they pondered their tyre choices. As the session got underway, the rain fell, so who had made the right call?
We started on slicks and it looked, potentially it would have gone the wrong way, but ultimately everybody went faster later on in the session on full wets, but every lap was an adventure out there.
We went out on slicks and it was so greasy. There's a few parts out there that have been resurfaced that just don't clear the water. We thought we could get a quick lap in, but unfortunately there was no chance.
Rob Collard was still in the pits halfway through the session as the team raced to change to a wet setup. Finally out, Collard's tyres weren't quite warm enough to set a quick time, but he remained confident for the race.
The race pace is absolutely awesome on the car. We've done a race run this morning and I feel we've got the quickest package. And it's just such a shame that we're going to have to battle our way through before we can show it tomorrow.
Tom Chilton headed the field in the early part of the session, but it was Chevrolet's day as McDowell and Plato locked out the front row.
To be on pole in my first season is, I think, an achievement. So hopefully we've shown we've got good race pace.
I'm a little disappointed in myself because I made the right choice at the beginning to go wet rear slick fronts, and if I'm honest, those first 2 laps I just didn't push enough. I was a bit too soft and I should have done an 18.
There was this window where it goes between sort of grease and wet where you can get one quick lap, and I tried my best and I strung together a good sector one time, but then I locked up at the end of the back straight just trying so hard. And that's when the 2 Chevys went P1, P2. I just nabbed third.
But drama for Chilton's teammate Tom Onslow Cole, whose times were disallowed from the session after failing a ride height check.
It comes from a bit of accident damage we actually picked up earlier on in the session. We were out there on slicks in the wet, trying to get those times in just to start with them. I think we were doing okay. We were P3, but there was a small bit of contact with Johnson, and I think it just knocked my splitter down a fraction, and that's failed us. So I probably should have been better off just parking it up outside there somewhere.
And championship leader Matt Neal was also unhappy with his session.
The real trick thing for us in the wet is the 4-wheel steering system, which because the rear is very lively in the dry round here, we'd been locking that up for a dry session, and it's not a 5-minute job to undo it. So we were stuck with that, and then that left, the rear was bolted. So I was looking for front end all sessions. Frustrating. I prayed for rain. I was doing my rain dance beforehand, and when I got it, we underperformed, or I underperformed. So I'm a little bit disappointed, really.
So a challenging race ahead. This is how they line up. So Alex McDowell takes his first ever pole position and the youngest ever pole holder for the BTCC, just ahead of his teammate Jason Plato. Tom Chilton, Matt Jackson, the first of the BMWs. And as we go down the grid, great performance by Paul O'Neill, James Nash, and Tom Boardman rounds out the top 10.
So Alex McDowell becomes the youngest driver ever to take pole position in the British Touring Car Championship, and it looks like RML have found something over the summer break, doesn't it, Tim?
Well, Jason is certainly cock-a-hoot with the testing that they had. He's been complaining all year that the car is very edgy to drive on new tyres. He can't quite extract the maximum out of it, and he didn't reveal what they'd found, but he certainly said they'd made an improvement, and putting the 2 Chevys on the front row of the grid, which they've never qualified higher than third so far, proves that they have made progress.
Great performance from McDowell, just 19 years of age. He's one of the youngsters to look out for, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that's one of the highlights for me of the first half of the year, is a standout performance by some of the young drivers, and certainly Alex, putting the car on pole and upstaging his teammate Jason, although you have to remember Jason is carrying ballast, is still a fantastic performance. But alongside him you've got Andrew Jordan, who won the last race at Croft, and you've got Tom Onslow Cole. The young drivers are really coming to the fore, and they're the next generation of young stars.
What about some of the older hands? Matt Neal was one of the few drivers that didn't attend a test in the summer break. Do you think that's handicap team dynamics as we go into the second half of the season?
Possibly, because it is such a crucial stage of the championship at the moment, and Matt has this narrow advantage, and the Honda's been so fast, but it did look yesterday both in free practice and in qualifying, and so they might be struggling a little bit here. And Matt hasn't always had the best of luck here at Snetterton, so he will be a little concerned, and I think the first race today particularly, he'll just want to move up that grid and look at consolidating some points.
So a bit of work to do for the team. Who else do you think has still got something to find for this second part of the year?
Well, I think we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on those Fords, aren't we? We all know how fast they are. This is only the second time this year that they haven't started from pole position. So they are going to be fast on these long straights at Snetterton. But can they string it all together? They're a bit like Red Bull. They keep getting up there in qualifying, but they don't always get the race results.
There was a lot of controversy about the Fords in the early part of the season, the perceived advantage that they had from that engine. Do you think that's going to continue as we carry on through the rest of the year?
The moaning and groaning is part of touring cars, isn't it? Everyone wants to fight their own corner, and there's some very strong personalities as team managers. But the reality is that the Fords weren't the fastest cars through all the speed traps this weekend. We've had David Pinkney's car the fastest, and Jason Plato's carrying ballast. So I don't think Jason can really say that it's theirs to lose this weekend on power alone.
So Chevrolet, really the guys to keep an eye out for this weekend, and who else do you think is going to be pushing them?
Well, definitely the Chevrolets. I think, we're looking at dry conditions, and certainly the wet qualifying caught a few out, but the Hondas and the BMs are going to be chasing them very hard.
Thanks very much, Tim. Well, I wonder which of the guys are going to be confident as they head into the first race of the day. Simon Hill is going to be down on the grid when we come back. We've grabbed a few last-minute thoughts with Simon Hill.
I'm here with Ray McDowell now. I've been a racing dad myself, Ray. I know what this feels like, worrying about your lad, but this is a bit different. This is pole position for British touring cars, the youngest ever pole man. How are you feeling, most importantly?
Yeah, well, you know, I've got to check my hands and just make sure that they're not shaking too much, you know, but I'm taking deep breaths to try and control it all, you know, but it's really exciting. It's fantastic, you know. I'm just over the moon, and, you know, Alex is over the moon, obviously very excited, but he's cool and calm and collected as usual, and I'm the one that's taking all the strain.
Now, you've been racing for many years yourself. We've raced against each other, I think, some years ago, and I know what it feels like as a driver, and you do as well. Is this worse or is this better?
You know, I don't know. It's very difficult. You know, the anxiety is difficult to cope with, and of course, you know, being on pole, there's obviously a lot of expectation being carried on that position. But I think, you know, he's showed his pace. He nearly got pole at Alton Park earlier in the season, bar from a small error on the last sector of the lap. So we knew he had it in him, and today's delivered it. Oh, yesterday's delivered it. So great. You know, hopefully we can convert this into a good result.
Well, thanks, Ray. We're going to have a word with the boy now. Enjoy. So down on the grid now, let's find out how the man himself's feeling. Alex, your first ever pole position, youngest ever pole man British touring car history. How are you feeling? Very different conditions as well, of course, to yesterday.
Yeah, it was tricky conditions, but you know, we pulled it off. You know, the car's been quick all weekend, so hopefully, you know, we've got a good strong engine, a good package, and I think the nerves are kicking in a bit now, but once that red light goes out, I'm on a mission.
Good man, have a good race, enjoy it. Now, next to him, of course, is the man that's challenging for the British Touring Car Championship. It would only be his second ever championship. Think how long Jason Plater's been part of the British Touring Car scene, and he's starting alongside the grid. Jason, obviously, very different conditions to yesterday. What sort of race car have you got underneath you? Can you do this today?
Yeah, I think we've got a very good opportunity to win some races today, or at least to get some great points on the opposition. I'm feeling quite confident.
Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of talk about how quick these are. Sorry, you're getting. Yeah. Oh, have a good one, mate. I'll leave you to it. Shall I have a good one, Jason? Now, of course, the championship is really at the moment down between Jason Plato and the twice British Touring Car champion, the man who won it in 05 and 06 in a Honda, and that's Matt Neal. Now, he's missed out on the mid-season test. Now, both of the Team Dynamics cars were going to test here, but they've been honest enough to say that we've been struggling a little bit for budget, so they didn't actually get to do the test, and wonder if that maybe has been a factor. Matt, now obviously didn't get to test here in the mid-season break. How confident are you that you've got a good car under you for today?
I think we're going to have a tough day today, Sights. We knew there was going to be a tough circuit for us, this in Silverstone, so it's a bit of damage limitation, see how many points we can come away with, see if we're still in the hunt for the last three to the end of the season.
We've obviously seen some absolute battles here before, and you know this place better than anyone. Thoughts about what you think is going to unfold with the two Chevys at the front?
It'd be interesting to see how they get on with the speed down the straight at Chiltern, but I'm going to be pretty busy with the guys behind me, so cheers.
All right, thanks. That's Matt Neal. Now we're going to go back to our commentators, back to Ben and Tim.
Thanks very much, Simon. We're all set for the start of some racing here at Snetterton. Absolutely glorious morning, as it's turned out. Tim, you've been out there already, but track temperatures are beginning to build, aren't they?
Yeah, as I said, 34 degrees now. Very different to yesterday, qualifying in the wet, and this could shake things up a little bit. Matt Neal's surprisingly sounding quite defensive there in terms of what he was expecting from the weekend, and from expecting an attack from behind rather than chasing those in front.
No, that's interesting. It's a crucial point of the championship, so let's see what happens. First ever pole position for a Chevrolet Cruze, of course. Fords have rather dominated qualifying this year with their LPG-powered car, but on this occasion it is a very good effort, as we know, by Alex McDowell. But Matt Neal coming from 7th on the grid. Last time he won here at Snetterton was back in 2006. He's had a couple of clashes with a certain Jason Plato over the years at this circuit as well, so let's wait to see whether it's going to be clean between them. And certainly Plato with the advantage, starting on that front row of the grid. First front row start actually for Jason Plato this year, Tim, which is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you have to remember, obviously, when you're leading the championship first or second, you're carrying the maximum amount of ballast, so it's not unusual that the championship leaders are not on the front row or on pole, but certainly you'd have expected it with the quality of that car. But to have two Chevys on the front, they must be delighted.
Some support there, nice to see that in the crowd, the Chevrolet flag flying.
But McDowell and Plato then it is on that front row together. Plato's got a good record here at Snetterton, 5 wins in the past 5 years in different makes of car. Away they go on the formation lap then, and lots of others to keep an eye on. Tom Chilton is lining up third on the grid in the LPG-powered Team Aon Ford Focus. You can see it nestling in there behind the two blue Chevrolets. And then the first of the BMWs, that of Matt Jackson. Good qualifying effort that by Matt, Tim.
A very good time indeed. I mean, Matt was absolutely sensational in that wet qualifying. It was a strange session with the track getting quicker actually as it got wetter, and drivers were experimenting with worn wets and new wets to find what was right, and Matt really found a perfect lap.
So let's just take a look at that grid once again. It is Alex McDowell and Jason Plato on the front row in the two Chevrolets. Tom Chilton and Matt Jackson with Ford and BMW respectively. And then Gordon Shedden, who had such a great weekend at Croft. He's on row 3 with Andrew Jordan. They're both winners from Croft, of course. Andrew taking his first ever win last time out. Row 4, Matt Neal and Paul O'Neill, who's been having a pretty strong season. James Nash back on row 5 with Tom Boardman. Stephen Kane in the other Airways BMW, lower down than expected. He's got the WSR BMW of Rob Collard right next door on that 6th row. Then Lee Wood and Dave Pinkney on row 7. Andy Neat and John George are together on row 8. Sean Hollenby in the Volkswagen Golf is on row 9 with Martin Depper, the first of the Forster Motorsport BMWs. His teammate is right behind, Arthur Forster. Then it's Martin Johnson, and the grid completed by Tom Onslow-Cole, who had a quick car but had damage in qualifying, and that meant the car failed the ride height check twice, in fact. Too much damage on the car, and so he got put to the back of the field. Now let's see if we can get a quick word with Matt Neal, who is making his way round from 7th on the grid. Matt, this is Ben in the commentary box. Quick thoughts on how many places you think you might be able to get off the line here?
Well, Ben, it's going to be a tough one, mate. There's some quick cars all around me, and I'm mindful that Collard's only a few rows back, and he's always like a rat up a drain pipe off the start, especially for all the BM runners. So with the ambient temperature going up, it's going to be a tough race for us, I think.
Okay, we'll have a good one, and we'll see. Again, the same sort of comments from that he's a little nervous, isn't he?
Well, he hit the nail on the head, because this is a very narrow grid. We've seen accidents here before. Hopefully we'll get through cleanly, but the BMs always try and capitalise on their advantage off the start line. And the hot conditions Matt was talking about, that's also going to favour the BMWs and by increasing tyre wear on the front-wheel drive cars.
So the medical car just bringing up the rear of the field as we prepare for this 6th event of the season. 3 races today, of course, and we're going to see who's going to come away with the most points. It is a narrow championship lead for Matt Neal at the moment. He's on 119 points, just to remember. Jason Plato second on 111, and Gordon Shedden third, not too far behind those top two. So we really do have an interesting championship tussle as we go into the second half of the season. So everybody just moving into position. Keep an eye on those BMWs. They can get off the line well, but they're not as quick off the line as they used to be. They've got a higher first gear to worry about this year, which has made their life more difficult, and we're all set then. Round 16 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship about to get underway in sunshine, a little bit of cloud here in Norfolk. We're just up the road from Thetford. Who's going to get off the line here first? Will it be the youngster Alex McDowell from pole position? Will it be Jason Plato? Away we go, and it's a pretty even start from the two Chevrolets on the front row. The BMW, Matt Jackson moves up into 3rd place. Alex McDowell, oh, there's a problem.
Alex McDowell's pulled to the right with a problem. Maybe a drive shaft or something off the line, transmission or something. That's usually what breaks off the line, but poor Alex's race has gone to disaster straight away.
Can't believe it, can you? Poor Alex McDowell on pole position, the 19-year-old, and he didn't even get going properly. He's just sort of limping along. Jason Plato leads the race, and amazingly, they've all got through the first couple of corners. Down in the back, the two Forster Motorsport BMWs, but up front, it's Jason Plato, handed an easy advantage. Look at Tom Chilton coming down the inside in the Aon car, trying to take 2nd place. The LPG power, is it working? Matt Jackson's going to stick with him round the outside and holds on to 2nd.
Oh, that was great racing, wasn't it? I mean, we've been talking about the power of Chilton's car in the races, and he was able to easily draft up the inside of Jackson, but Jackson decided to duke it out with him to give him the inside in the final right-hander of the S's, and it paid off handsomely.
And Gordon Shedden is now attacking Tom Chilton for that 3rd place. Just watch behind. Gordon Shedden's done it. Tom Chilton's been passed by both Hondas, Shedden and Matt Neal. What happened there?
Well, I should assume that Chilton got out wide of the bomb hole, and one Honda went through. He got dirt on his tyres maybe, and then the other Honda was able to draft past through Coram.
So Jason Plato leading this one from Matt Jackson, and up to 3rd already Gordon Shedden in the Honda, then Chilton, then Matt Neal, then Andrew Jordan. He's in 6th place. James Nash in 7th. Tom Boardman is in 8th place. Then Paul O'Neill in 9th. Here's another attack. Matt Neal down the inside of Tom Chilton, and he's done it.
Yeah, I think Chilton had passed him up the start-finish line. Let's follow that, hopefully, and see what happens down the straight. Look at the power of that LPG Ford. It just absolutely whistles past Matt Neal's car. And Matt...
Oh, sorry for the language there, but Matt Neal is not impressed by the speed of the Ford in a straight line. And there also behind them is Andrew Jordan in the Pertec Vauxhall, then the black Vauxhall of James. Oh, and there's another bit of contact further back.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of anguish about and unhappiness in the paddock about the Ford. Jason thinks they're playing games with the turbo boost in practice and in qualifying. In the races, the one time you can see how fast they are as the RML mechanics go to work on Alex McDowell's car, but there was absolutely no hiding the speed of that Ford up the straight then.
Jason Plato still has the advantage here, though, doesn't he? Over Matt Jackson in someone who got a spinner down, and that was Andy Neat, I think, wasn't it, who ended up facing the wrong way. Yes, it is Andy Neat in the WSR BMW, gets going again and is passed, or almost passed, by Sean Hollenby in the AMD Volkswagen Golf. Take a look at this, Tim.
Well, he's lost it on the way in. I didn't quite see the start of that one. It's a slightly unusual place to lose it. I don't know if he got a tap or not, but we caught that just after the start of the spin.
So Plato in front, but not really getting away from that BMW who set the fastest lap, Matt Jackson, last time around. This is a real battle for the lead here.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, Jackson will be loving the fact that the temperatures come up here. It suits his car very well. I mean, Jason is carrying 36 kilos of ballast as well, so he's got that extra handicap. That's worth about 3.5 tenths a second a lap in sheer penalty, so it's looking good for Jackson.
On board from Jason Plato, looking back at Matt Jackson, that's the gap, it's not a big one. And as they come through Coram, this fast right-hander, then they'll be heavily on the brakes into Russell. New curve on the inside here. Oh, and you bobble over it if you're not careful. That's what Matt Jackson does.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to upset him. I mean, we thought that curve, it was put in place there on the right-hander to stop them jumping that inside curve, but Matt just ran straight over it.
Yeah, it's a very different reaction from that car, which is very well set up to some of the others we've seen hop over that curve, but Plato still in front. You're riding on board with the race leader through the double right-hander at Rich's. Lovely view of one of the fastest corners here.
Yeah, Jackson's car looks very strong, doesn't it? Look at it, it's been strong in the slow corners, strong in the fast corners. He's going to get good traction here. Be interesting to see how hard Jason defends this, because whilst he's in front of Neal and Shedden, he may just take the points.
He may do, but he's going defensive. He's staying over to the left of the straight as he drives it, and you see that Jackson's forced to try to go to the outside, but he's not really in position to brake late enough there, so it stays 1-2, Plato, Jackson, third for Gordon Shedden. Tell you what, Shedden is a major factor in this championship battle as well, because he's had bad luck this year. There he is, but those 2 wins last time out at Croft, Tim, have really sort of re-energised his championship campaign.
Very much so. He's right in the thick of it, isn't he? And he's driving very well this year, I think, Gordon. I think, you know, Gordon is a person that likes to have the right atmosphere in the team. He's very happy in the Dynamics team, and he's delivering his best as a result.
Yeah, it's a good effort this from Gordon Shedden, but the luck just goes his way for once, then he may be very well placed. Tom Chilton is still in 4th. Matt Neal is in 5th place. Andrew Jordan holding on to 6th place. Then James Nash, Tom Bourman and Stephen Kane. By the way, Tom Onslow Cole is, there he is, in 11th. The other Team Aon car, look at that. He started right at the back and he's crawling all over the back of Paul O'Neill, and that's to try and get into the top 10.
Yeah, well, Tom's really fired up. He was so disappointed. He had a potential front row starting car. Obviously, he lost his times in qualifying for failing the ride height, but he was really up for a good race here. And of course, with the power of that Ford, he can overtake people. Watch him here as he follows John George. He's closing down the straight, closing down. Will he get down the inside?
Well, Paul O'Neill's holding the inside.
Paul O'Neill, sorry.
Yeah, it's holding the inside, but is he going to go around the outside into the left-hander? Not quite. Paul O'Neill's just able to shut the door. Apparently, according to the speed traps, the Fords have got a 10-mile-an-hour advantage or so, and so hopefully it's going to be a bit tough for the others to get through. So still on board with Tom Onslow Cole, chasing Paul O'Neill. Stephen Kane is up ahead of them in the Airways BMW, looking to try and continue his remarkable record of a podium at every event that we've had so far this year. Plato under more pressure here from Matt Jackson. This is for the race lead.
Yeah, these cars are very evenly matched. I mean, Jackson is just pulling in Plato a little bit on the straights, which is what you'd expect with the weight penalty that Jason's carrying. Oh, Jackson just tried a little jink there, just to try and distract Jason in his mirrors. He's got a good exit here. Let's watch it down the straight. Very even. He's picking up a toe, picking up a slipstream.
Yeah, he's getting a chance, but is he going to be close enough? Heading down towards the left-hander at the S's, Matt Jackson. Very well placed here. Can he do anything? He's had one win so far this year. In the background, Tom Chilton was having another little look at Gordon Shedden, but he didn't make it through. And in the other, further back, Matt Neal and Andrew Jordan were side by side. Andrew Jordan getting squeezed out. He's going to lose a place to James Nash. Nash goes down the inside of both of them. Funnily enough, at the very corner, he got excluded for an instant with Rob Collard last year. James Nash has just gained 2 places.
Yeah, that was perfect. He just timed his exit right while Matt Neal was fighting off Andrew Jordan and just got up the inside. And James Nash has been very quick this year, in this meeting. So
yeah.
I think and Matt seems strangely off the pace. I know he's got that maximum balance, but even so, he still seems strangely off the pace.
Yeah, James Nash seems to love this Snetterton circuit, very fast in free practice. Vauxhall has traditionally been a pretty strong car here. Giovanardi's had some very strong runs here, including last year when he was driving the Vauxhall. On board with with Matt Neal here, who's just been passed by James Nash. And Matt Neal down to 6th. Andrew Jordan is still tucked in behind him into Sear Corner. You see how the track's being changed a little bit here. They've put in a curb on the outside, little green strip. They're not meant to be running too wide through there, but people are still using a fair bit of road. Now he's trying to pick up a toe on James Nash as they head down towards the left-hander. Very even though between those two cars. Chilton's swept past Shedden and he's up into 3rd.
Yeah, it looks like he just swept round the outside there with Shedden unable to defend in the same way that Matt Neal wasn't. So again, a very easy pass. And this is the trouble really when you've got one car that's so much quicker on the straights than another. You can't defend that position, and similarly, it's that car can pass very easily.
Gather that Alex McDowell's problem getting at the start was a gear stick came away. That was a bit unfortunate, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't know his own strength in the car, does he? He's been doing too much weight training.
Yeah,
maybe.
something like that. He has rejoined, but he's 4 laps down, which is a bit unfortunate. Let's just take a little look. This was the incident with Andrew Jordan, Matt Neal, and then James Nash taking advantage.
Yeah, Matt Neal defending very heavily and perhaps concentrating on making sure Andrew Jordan was kept on the outside and lost momentum coming out the corner.
Now the leaders come through. Nash still in 5th in the black car. Then Matt Neal, little move down the inside. That's Stephen Kane trying to get past Boardman, and he's got it. But does Boardman have better exit? Let's see. It's still going to be.
Yeah, watch Chilton though.
Yeah,
watch Chilton. He's going to get
Cole.
Onso Cole. I mean, he's going to get both of them
without much problem. We know he's fast in a straight line, and they've sort of held each other up.
Yeah, exactly. That was a nice, easy one for Tom because with Kane diving up the inside of Boardman, it slowed them both up, and of course Tom was able to get a perfect run through the corner.
Yeah, so Tom Boardman in the black Seat with the Union flag on the top there. And then right behind him is Paul O'Neill, struggling a little bit in this race, perhaps. Paul O'Neill had a podium finish here at Snetterton last year. That was his first in 6 years. This year he's already had 2 podium finishes, but just struggling a little bit. Car should come good in the latter stages. We know how good it is on its front tyres.
Yeah, that car's always been very good here because it's very aerodynamic. The integral shape is inherently very good through the air, and obviously it does look after its tyres. That was the other big characteristic of it.
Yeah, but Tom Boardman defending busily at the moment, trying to hold on to that. So James Nash still through in 5th, 6th for Matt Neal. There in 7th place is Andrew Jordan, having that win last time out, giving a massive boost of confidence to the youngster. His first ever win in British touring cars in that 3rd race of the day at Croft, and now engaged in quite a midfield tussle. Up front though, still Jason Plato who leads. His gap was only half a second when they crossed the line. You can see there just how close Matt Jackson is to the back of him, and these two have managed to ease away from the opposition, and that's probably relatively sensible driving from Matt Jackson as much as anything. He hasn't sort of attacked Jason lap after lap, probably in an attempt to get away from everyone else.
Yeah, I think he was satisfied to make a break and then see how the race unfolded, but it'd be interesting to see what Tom Chilton's pace is now that he's in clear air behind, and then we might get a gauge of what might happen in the latter part of the race.
Matt Jackson with fastest lap so far. There he is in 2nd, just hopping over that curve. You can see Tom Chilton in the background, but a little further back in 3rd position. And then it is Gordon Shedden still holding on. Top Honda in the race in 4th position. Chevy leading, BMW in 2nd, Ford, LPG-powered Ford in 3rd, then the Honda in 4th place, then a Vauxhall in 5th place. So different cars in the top 5, showing you once again just how competitive this British Touring Car Championship is. Matt Jackson gets ever so close to the back of Jason Plato now.
Yeah, just got to watch how wide they run there. You can see the new painted part of the curbing on the outside of the track, and the clerk of the courses are watching very carefully to make sure you don't run out wide too many times.
That's right. Plato will move, and then another move. This is interesting from Jason. He almost getting into the realms of weaving there. Not quite, but...
Well, I think that was just defending, or as drivers prefer to call it, breaking the toe.
Indeed.
Yeah, you're allowed to break the toe apparently, but you're not allowed to weave, so I'm not quite sure where the difference is there.
Subtleties arise. Matt Jackson's enjoying it, though, because he can just sense that Jason is not that comfortable at the moment, and that BMW is potentially faster. And Jason's mum is looking a little bit worried.
Yeah, well, this is what we expected the pattern of the race to be, that Jackson's tyres would hold out longer as the front-wheel drive car worked his tyres in these hotter conditions, and we'd expect Jackson to be the quicker car now.
McDowell's back in the pit, so whether he's still got a problem with the gear stick or not. Remember, these two who are battling for the lead were teammates last year. They were both driving Chevrolets when they were both in the Lassetti. And of course, Matt Jackson had a brilliant mid-season in that car. Changed this year. A little attack here from Onslow Cole up the inside of Jordan. Has he done it? Not quite. Jordan just manages to get across in front of him, but he will put himself into dangerous territory coming on to Sear. And in fact, Onslow Cole down the inside there, and he should have that move made, I think.
That was a very late break. I thought he was going to duck back and get a run onto the straight where he probably knew he could pass, but he just dived out the inside and a good pass by Onslow Cole.
Yeah, very, very effective from Tom Onslow Cole. The Ford struggles a bit under braking. It has no engine braking with that LPG engine. Really, the drivers have noticed a big difference from switching to a normal petrol engine. And it's something that they've had to work on, really get the braking systems as good as possible. They all run similar brake systems, but getting the cooling just right, that kind of thing, has proved to be crucial on the Ford. And there you've still got Plato versus Jackson up front. They'll be coming around this time to complete their 11th lap, to go on to lap 12 of 18. And Jackson continues to apply the pressure.
Yeah, a couple of other circuit changes they've made apart from that painted runoff at Sear is that curve we've been watching Matt Jackson jump over. That hasn't made any difference to his car. What fantastic dampers they must have on that car to cope with that. And also through Riches, they've resurfaced the track. It's smoother, but the tarmac isn't offering up as much grip as the old tarmac yet.
Interesting, maybe it's early days for the tarmac. There's that little bit where they've put in the extra curve, but they're well over that. But obviously the race director is going to not go too mad on penalising them. Good exit there from Plato. Look, Jackson didn't seem to be quite so quick out of Sear that time.
Yeah, and he didn't even make any attempt to duck into the slipstream either, so that's a little bit odd, but he's got a good line. Look how good that BMW is on the brakes. Really, really good on the brakes.
Fantastic. It's good on the brakes, good on the curb, so he can just brake so deep and just run those inside wheels over the curb into the S's, and the car's absolutely rock stable.
Yeah, this is coming through Coram now. You're on board. This is 125 miles an hour. The car really is teetering on the edge here. Look at Jackson, bit of oversteer right out to the curb, then slinging it on the brakes, a little bit of a lock-up from Jason in front, clipping the first curb, snatching it into the left, and then running wide on the exit. That was absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that is real quality driving we're watching there, and a lovely view from the onboard from Jason Plato. You can see how much on the limit the BMW was, and you can bet that Jason's doing the same thing with his front-wheel drive car.
Yeah, absolutely. And you watch from the outside, you think they're just driving around on rails, but a shot like that shows you how hard they're working every single lap, and to the amount of car control you need to brake the car on the bends, turn it right, turn it left, come off the brakes at the right time, pick up the throttle but not run wide or create an oversteer. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, all on the very edge of traction. It's lovely to see. Paul O'Neill still tucked in behind Tom Boardman, hasn't been able to find a way through. Both very much sort of privateer efforts, but both potentially can get podium finishes, as we've already seen. James Nash in the black Vauxhall, he still goes through in 5th, and there's a battle going on there as Onslow Cole putting the pressure on Matt Neal. Jordan has dropped back to 8th place now, so I don't know quite what happened there, but certainly Tom Onslow Cole putting the pressure on Matt Neal, and that could be one to watch, because Matt Neal could be losing more points to Jason Plato if he loses that place to the Ford. There you are, you're watching Matt Neal now. He really could do with keeping that Ford behind him.
Yeah, he could. I mean, Onslow Cole's progress has been fantastic, because obviously he's going to get right up there now, and the cars in front of him are all going to carry ballast then in the second race, so he could be very strong in the second race.
Yeah, on board with Tom Onslow Cole, chasing Matt Neal as they come up the pit straight. Look at the speed advantage on the straight. You can see him eating into the gap. Matt Neal goes, doesn't go tight, and up the inside goes Tom Onslow Cole, and actually dives through on the approach to ridges, but Matt Neal's going to come back, hops over the curb. Oh, good save by Tom Onslow Cole.
Well, that's a move of anger from Matt Neal. He can't race against a car that's 6 miles an hour faster on the straights, so he's going to be aggressive in the corners. And I'll be honest, Matt was actually trying to put him in the field then, and it didn't quite work out. But here comes Onslow Cole again.
Yeah, he's going to use that speed advantage of the LPG car in a straight line to see whether he can come back at him onto the brakes into the S's. But Matt Neal's so good on the brakes, but this time he can't quite close it back up under braking. And surely this time Tom Onslow Cole has secured that 6th position.
Yeah, well, they say that the Ford is no good through the corner, so let's just follow it through the bomb hole and Coram, because there are no more challenging corners anywhere on the UK. And well, it would appear that the Honda is a bit quicker through there, because Matt's certainly gaining. Is he going to try it on the brakes? No.
Almost close enough. You're right. The Ford carries more weight because of the LPG tank at the back of the car. It's also a heavier engine. You're on board with Matt Neal, and he's trying to come back. But once they're onto that straight, you can see how that LPG power just eases Tom Onslow Cole away. So it's good on the straights. Matt Neal definitely seems to have the edge in the corners, but from overtaking point of view, of course, it's speed on straights that makes life much easier.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that the viewers are not hearing Matt's on-board commentary at the moment, because he's not using the Queen's English, that's for sure.
No, he's not too impressed at the moment. He's giving it his all through the bends, but Tom Onslow Cole just has the edge in a straight line. Plato still leads this race by 1.4 seconds from Matt Jackson in second, so the gap has opened up a little bit on that last lap or so. Tom Chilton still holding on to third. There he is, ahead of Gordon Shedden in fourth position. Sorry, we're looking onto Cole there. And now there's the battle of Stephen Kane down the inside of Andrew Jordan, and Tom Boorman trying to follow through as well. So a lot of changing going on in the latter stages. Boorman's got a good line on the inside of the bomb hole, hops over the curb, and watch Paul O'Neill. He's going to try and make it three-way into Coram. Surely not. Boorman has certainly got the place.
Oh, this could be. I was worried about contact there as Andrew Jordan was defending from Paul O'Neill, because that's the last place you want to tap at the rear, is turning into Coram. But they managed to get through there cleanly. Good racing. But up front, Plato set the fastest lap of the race on lap 14, the last lap, which is amazing, really. It shows that the improvement they've made in testing really has worked. That car now much more drivable, looking after its tyres much better, and Jason is very happy with that. If he can win and set a fastest lap on lap 14 with 36 kilos on board, he's looking very strong, and Dynamics and Matt Neal and Gordon Shedden have got a lot to be worried about.
Yeah, I agree with that. Look at the gap and how it's opened up to Matt Jackson. This is the on-board with Matt Neal. Let's just see how close he got to... Oh! Well, he knocked our camera by clipping the bales on the inside of the chicane. Our on-board view is not quite what it was.
No, I don't think we're using that one again, but the drivers always try and get it as close to that tyre wall as you can, and there's always a delay in turning the wheel to the car actually responding, so you almost aim for the tyres and hope you miss them. Well, Matt just cut a bit too fine there.
Nice little race going on for last position here between Arthur Forster in the BMW. His teammate Martin Depper up ahead, and in the sandwiched in the middle is Sean Hollenby in the VW Golf. That car's going better, actually. They've made quite a lot of suspension changes to the car, and it's good. He's dicing away with some of the other privateers, which is fun to see. The two BMWs right in the middle, the black and orange Golf.
Yeah, there's always someone to race with in touring cars, and that Golf really is a good-looking car. I like that.
Yeah, it is nice. So Stephen Kane coming through in the Airwaves car in 7th. Boorman now in 8th place, Andrew Jordan is in 10th place, and then Paul O'Neill 11th now, so outside the points, Paul O'Neill. He's a bit disappointed. And also behind them is Rob Collard. He's had a quiet race, hasn't he? Didn't qualify particularly well. They made some setup changes for the wet and didn't get out perhaps at the quickest time of the session. And Rob not really being able to make much progress here. He's down in 12th position. John George is 13th. Andy Neat is 14th, Lee Wood still running, he's in 15th, and then you've got that Martin Depper, Sean Hollenby and Arthur Forster battle. Here we are with Jason Plato though, and as he comes around this time, he will be going on to his final lap, and look at how he's opened up that advantage. It's up to 2.1 seconds now. Oh, we're just hearing on the radio that Matt Neal's got a problem.
Drive shaft, I think he said. It sounded like drive shaft, in which case he won't be able to finish this race in the points.
Second place still, Matt Jackson. There is Matt Neal. He's got a drive shaft problem, we gather, because we could just hear some radio communication in our headsets, and he has Oh, that is disastrous from the point of view of the championship.
Yeah, but then, you know, this is the way the championship goes. You think, it looks like a puncture, actually. Has he got a puncture as well? But that left front looked very low. Looks very low. I think he might have a puncture rather than a drive shaft, or he may have both. But you think back to Brands Hatch when Jason Plato had those 2 failures, those 2 crank sensor failures, and you know, we thought then, oh, it's over. And that's the way the championship fluctuates. But we're still only halfway through.
Jason Plato might have a good record of winning here at Snetterton in the past, but in the last 3 years he's always had one disastrous race, whether it's been down to contact or indeed reliability. So he'll be hopeful that he can get 3 solid races in here today. He'll be well pleased to hear that Matt Neal has dropped out of this race, because that does redress the balance a little bit. There's Jason's parents on the pit wall ready to cheer him across the line, and as he comes through, Russell for the last time, another superb drive by Jason Plato. He comes through to take his 3rd win of 2010, 3rd win for the Chevrolet Cruze, and his 6th win here at Snetterton in 6 years. Matt Jackson takes 2nd. Tom Chilton will hold on to 3rd place. And the Team A on Focus. Lots going on here. A bit more racing damage on the car there, or Brooke Collard, I think, on the driver's side door. But let's just see. Shedden is 4th, Nash is 5th, Onslow Cole 6th. I think Stephen Kane is going to finish 7th, Tom Bourman is 8th, Jordan is 9th, and Collard is 10th.
Yeah, I mean, Plato will be so happy. I'm hoping we can get a word from him straight away.
Let's see if we can get a word with Jason Plato on this slowdown lap. Jason, it's Ben in the commentary box. Well done, sir. That looked like you had some pressure from Matt for a while, but then you were able to ease away.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I mean, a really interesting race, actually, from, I guess, mine and Matt's point of view. I just didn't quite have the balance in the opening laps. I had quite a lot of high-speed understeer, and I didn't want to hurt my tyres. I was almost just not easing back, but just not killing the tyre. Hoping that the balance would come a bit better towards me at the end of the race, which it did do. So we got some improvements to make in the car, but a great result for the team and for my championship standings. And such a shame that Alex had a problem. I don't know what it is.
Jason, Tim here in Colts. You set fastest lap on lap 14. That's got to make you really happy.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. As I said, the balance wasn't where I wanted it to be, and you know, because we didn't do a race run yesterday, we concentrate on towing practice, slipstreaming practice. I was unsure about tyre wear, and as we've seen with Matt Neal, he went out. So to play it, not safe, but just to look after the front left tyre in the early stages, I think paid dividends.
Okay, well done, Jason. We'll speak to him more in the pit lane, but yeah, very interesting.
A very mature race.
Yeah.
You can see the mentality, the whole sequence of events through the whole weekend, slipstreaming in practice, looking after the tyre, not putting too much load on it in the early part of the race. A very well controlled and thought out race.
And there, Matt Neal surveying that tyre that let go for whatever reason, whether it hit debris or whether they worked it too hard. The net result is the same. He doesn't score points. Jason Plato, therefore, wins round 16 from Matt Jackson and Tom Chilton. Shedden in 4th place in the first of the Hondas. Then James Nash, Tom Onslow Cole, who came from the very back to finish 6th. Stephen Kane in 7th, Tom Bourman in 8th, Andrew Jordan in 9th, and Rob Collard finished in 10th. Outside the points, Paul O'Neill, John George, Andy Neat and Lee Wood. Martin Depper, Sean Hollenby and Arthur Forster crossed the line pretty much together. And out of it, I'm afraid, Matt Neal, Alex McDowell, so disappointing off pole to have that problem. And Martin Johnson also in trouble.
It'll be interesting to see the next race, won't it, with, well, here are the championship points.
Yeah, Plato's back into the lead now, isn't he, ahead of Matt Neal, so a change around there. Gordon Shedden in 3rd, then Tom Onslow Cole, Stephen Kane ahead of Matt Jackson, who's moved up, Paul O'Neill next, then Tom Chilton, Rob Collard and Andrew Jordan. So, bit of a disaster for Matt Neal. He has lost the championship lead, and this is when it happened in the race. This is let's listen in to what happened during that race. There he was.
Well, struggling on the brakes, the tyre's already gone.
I've got a drive shaft gone, boys, I've got a drive shaft gone.
Well, it wasn't a drive shaft, obviously it was a puncture, but the feeling inside the car actually is very similar in that you suddenly lose efficiency, either braking or steering from one side of the car, and Matt obviously thought it was a drive shaft, but now he'll know it's a puncture.
Yeah, very disappointing for Matt Neal, but let's get down to the pits with Louise.
Congratulations, Jason. Second half of the season is underway, and that's exactly how you wanted to kick it off, isn't it, with a victory?
Absolutely. You know, the summer break has really done us good, where,
you know, over the course of the season, when it's underway, you've got 2 weeks between each weekend, or sometimes less. It's really difficult for the engineers to drill down and spend all the time to really understand how to improve the car. And that time's paid has been worth its weight in gold. We had a successful test here a couple of weeks ago, and that's certainly the start of the findings. You know, we're still not still can improve the car. First few laps, I was struggling. First half of the race was struggling against understeer at the front in the high-speed corners. So I decided just rather than damage the front left tyre, I thought I'd just come back maybe 2, 3, 4% and look after the tyre, and then the balance came good. So a few changes to make, so I'm pleased.
So a little way to go, but you mentioned that test. How significant was it? Because I get the impression from the guys in the team that you really have made some significant steps forward. You've got a car that you can really push now.
Absolutely, we've got a car which we can attack, where early on in the year, every time I really attacked the corner to get that extra little bit of pace, it would bite me. The rear was very unstable. Now we understand it, and we understand why it was unstable, and we're some way to curing it.
And looking at the result overall, a disappointing one for Matt Neal. He's going to had a problem in that race. He's going to be starting way down the field for the next one. That's good for you as far as the championship's concerned, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a shame for Matt, but you know, I just cast my mind back to Brands Hatch, where we had a healthy lead in the championship, and then we had 2 mysterious electrical problems and didn't score any points. So, you know, luck over the course of the season generally evens itself out. So yeah, shame for him, but I'll take the points.
I'm sure you will. Well done. Let's have a word with. Let's go over to Simon, who's with Matt Jackson.
Now, Matt, I spoke to you qualifying, and you were saying you were confident you had a car that could win the race, and for an early part of the race, it looked like that was on, maybe.
Yeah, we had a great start, and I expected the other boys to be a bit quicker than what they were to start with, and we pulled a gap, obviously Jason, myself, and straight away we started pulling on the other guys. And I just thought to myself, let's go for 5 laps, see where we are with Jace. At least we can pull a gap so we're not being attacked from behind. And mid-race, I thought, yeah, we can have a go here. But the Chevrolet is just a little bit quicker than the Airways BMW in a straight line, and we just couldn't take advantage of the slipstream.
It did look like, certainly to places like the S's and some of the tighter corners, that's where you seem to have an advantage. Anything you think you've got in mind to talk to the engineers about changing for race 2?
Yeah, we've got a few thoughts. You know, it's an interesting one, that, you know, to do a race run with the conditions like they are on FP1, FP2 yesterday. Yeah, we got some good tweaks, I think, up our sleeve. Obviously, we're going to carry more weight, but you know, the Airways, BMW, the team, everybody have kicked up a gear, and you know, thanks to Money Shop and Leyland Paints, it's been a good start to the day.
Well, a very happy garage. I was just come past there as you came in. There's lots of smiling faces at Airways BMW. So enjoy race 2.
Thank you.
And Tom Chilton joins us as well. So Tom, it's kind of already seemed like it's nearly quite come together, but not quite for you this weekend.
Yeah, it's the circuit for me feels very, very different from when I tested it 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's changed an awful lot. I mean, last year, I don't think I could get into the top 10 round here, and so it's great to get a 3rd tier for Team Aon. And I think all the Ford fans will be pretty happy, but not as happy as if we were on the top step. So it's something we're going to have to work on for the second race. But I don't know how they pulled away so much. I don't know what trick they've got up their sleeve. I've got to find out what it is.
It did look like to me that there was a point in the early part of the race where you might have just been able to get on the back of them. Did the car go away a little bit as the race went on?
The car was really, really consistent, actually. And then just as the fuel level dropped off, burnt a bit of that LPG off, I noticed I started trimming down a couple of tenths on my lap time. And then the tyres degraded and I went back to where I was, or a tenth slower. So all in all, I thought the car was very, very consistent. It's one of the best the car's been on the tyres so far this year, so we have done a really good job in our race runs, but obviously still not quite good enough yet. We're still working on it.
Well, 2 more to go. Enjoy the rest of the day, Tom.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to take a short break here on ITV4. We'll be back with action from the Porsche Carrera Cup Round 12. Touring cars earlier today, and we had a drama. Our poleman, the youngest ever poleman, Alex McDowell, off the line, brilliant start, and then a gear shift problem, and then Matt Neal, who was leading the championship, ended up with a puncher. Let's hear from the drivers now. Matt, well, you heard on the radio, it sounded like you were saying it was a drive shaft. Drive shaft puncture, do you know what the problem was?
Yeah, initially I thought it was a drive shaft because I'd lost drive on the left-hand side, but it was a puncher, but it just went down like that. Turned into the S's at the end of the main straight, and it was just a rapid deflation. So as soon as I asked for it and wanted drive, that was it. It was the second to last lap, so we couldn't get back in and get out again.
Yeah, I got off the line brilliantly, but I think I was a bit eager to get into second, and you know, it must have fatigued a bit in the middle of the gear lever. It's quite a long shaft. It's about 30 centimetres. And there's a weak point in the middle, and obviously it's been getting weaker as the season's gone on, and it just snapped. I suddenly had it in my hand, and I was waving it around thinking, this isn't right. And then I had to crawl around in second gear. We got it back to the pits, and when they changed it, it was back to normal, and I tried to focus on fastest lap, but I was so frustrated.
I knew this was going to be a tough weekend, but I didn't really want to be starting off the back for race 2, but on the positive side, I now get the weight out. The car felt mega. So I'm looking forward to a good, strong race 2. The only problem is, you know, even with the Vectras, the Turbo Vectras, they're tough in a straight line for us to get past, as well as the Fords and everything. And the Chevys are quick with weight. So it's going to be, I think the target for me now is try and get as far into the top 10 as I can and look for race 3 in the reverse grid.
Well, the first news we have on Adrian Newey is that he's been taken off to hospital for precautionary checks. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and updating you. Our thoughts are with Adrian at the moment. But we're going to be turning the clock back and looking at some archive footage from Snetterton when we come back.